live on YouTube Live because we're a community. We believe in transparency. We believe in sucking in our community members as much as possible. And currently the only part of me on the camera is my elbow. And I am going to be completely invisible to the audience online. Okay, there I can be seen. So just to let you know before you say anything crazy, that you're saying anything crazy on the internet. I can't monitor the YouTube Live from this distance because I can't see that far. So Susie, yes, Susie's going to be monitoring the internet for any comments there and tossing them into the room from there. Couple quick housekeeping things. There's way the hell too much furniture in this room. We are aware of the problem. We're going to break for an activity after I do the opening bits, and they're going to remove an entire row of tables, and everything will be better. We are very sorry. Yes, applause to the happy, friendly facilities humans. That was unenthusiastic, but it's morning. Other housekeeping, we're using the Slack channel for any changes. There are likely to be a lot of changes as we go. We have two fabulous facilitators who will be introducing themselves later, Llewellyn Falco, Chris Miller. We are adjusting the schedule as we go to meet the needs of this group as we realize what skills, what problems, what issues come up that we need to figure out as a team. And also things like, wow, these tables aren't quite what we expected, so we're going to go to a different room. So expect flexibility. But one last piece of housekeeping, the storms are supposed to stay south of us. On the off, low probability chance that some fluke of nature occurs and you hear tornado sirens. This is the preferred door. There's also a door over there. Do not get in the elevator if tornado sirens are going off. I hope that because I said that, there shall be no tornadoes. Welcome to my not so fair, very rainy, wet, and windy city. Thank you for coming. So here's where we were 1 year and 5 days ago. We were submitting a grant that was over 70 pages. It was insane. Toshi, who isn't here, Pat, can you forward the email I just sent you guys to Toshi? I forgot to forward it to him. Toshi had done miraculous things putting together our Science on the Sphere project, which is something I knew nothing about going into this. Sandlin Buxner had massively edited down large chunks of the grant that came in initially 3 times longer than it turned out would fit, because we thought we'd have 40 pages to write a grant. We'll never feel that we were wrong. Jake, we would not be here, quite honestly, if it wasn't for Jake. The last 4 days, he and I took turns sleeping and writing. I would hand him the draft, sleep for a while, he would hand it back, I would say, it just, yes. So we are here thanks to some Herculean efforts. And since then, Sandlin has, we had NASA do we need all of your budgets in this weird format tomorrow, while at AGU. And Sandlin and I sat in a hotel lobby and we did budgets. And since then, we have all done miraculous things, and I want that. On November 25th, that we found out we would be funded. And the way we say people that many of you don't know yet, but you're going to get to know in the next couple of years. Last April, we did a 36-hour straight fundraiser that a whole lot of you came on to help support us with. Chris was in my house the entire time, running the camera system in the production studio. And this is where I get to start a lot of you. At one point, I said to Llewellyn, he's like, what can I do to help get us out of this house faster? And I said, upstairs, on top of the cistern, is a chest filled with dragon eggs. And there were no questions asked. He just went into the attic and looked on top of the cistern. These are dragon eggs. Come on. I was not joking. We have we have dragon eggs. Hi camera. So the tradition on this is last year's Hangout-a-thon was actually our third. First one of the year. Many of you were with me at the military sciences conferences when on Friday afternoon we found out there was going to be massive changes to how NASA funds education and communications. Some of you, like me, had some of the missions you were on spontaneously zero your funding. And we still had people to fund. We still had projects to do. We still had kids and adults who wanted to learn and engage. And so what we did was the first of our insane stay awake and stream on the internet and beg for money. And Timothy Legower made these dragon eggs for us, and he's like, and you shall give these to people who donate money on the internet. And we did. And the person that we gave them to, he then built this chest and put a plaque in it. The plaque says, to the Institute for Science, afford us all the better understanding of our universe. The eggs are made by Tim Legower, whose name is on the plate. The person who made the box is Richard Hayward of Michigan. The person who supported us this year is Sylvan Westby and the Weekly Space Hangout crew. And I want to do a shout out to the entire Weekly Space Hangout crew. Sylvan Westby said he wanted the box to stay with us to remind us of what is going to hatch out of this project, which is a bit terrifying. But hopefully we have the power to harness what we're doing for good. So here we are in the Moonrise Hotel, getting ready to launch something that hopefully allows us to take CosmoQuest and grow it to a new and extraordinary level, and we certainly have the rain to help things flower. Now, when I was a kid, I read Book Dune way too many times. And it starts with this sentence. The beginning is a time for taking the most delicate care that the balances are correct. And the reason I have this quote, and I'm going to see if I can focus this a little bit better. The reason I have this quote is because I was at an Agile Games conference 2 years ago, and they started the conference off with a talk. Build things, do things, learn things, try things. Some of them are going to make us feel a little nervous and awkward, but we're going to start with a set of values, shared values that support us through doing all of this. When we designed CosmoQuest, Georgia, Corey, both sitting right there, Fraser, who was working with us, all of us, we wanted to come up with a language of saying everyone in this group has value. And this is the statement we came up with. It takes a village to raise a child. It takes a global community to raise our understanding of the universe. We are citizen scientists. We are professional scientists. We are educators. We are programmers. Each provide different skills and resources to this community. Together, we strive to explore and contribute to science. Together, we are CosmoQuest. Every single person in this room is here because you have skills and things and creativity that you bring to this room that makes us able to accomplish great things. You all are different. And sometimes we're going to look at each other like alien creatures. James is a business finance person, and this science stuff is new to him, but oh my God, he can organize things in ways I can't. This is our new project manager. This is his second week. Be gentle. We all bring different things to this room. Now, we also started with what were initially 2 rules. The first rule of CosmoQuest was and remains no assholes. The optimism that taking care of one another. Now, what I love is some of you hacked the rules page on our wiki. So that no assholes is now rules 1, 5, and 7.
Yes.
I'm cool with this. Now what this means is if you are in this room, you are not an asshole. This is important to remember as we move forward. Where we're so deeply passionate about everything we do that sometimes we get at loggerheads of, but wouldn't it be better if we did this? But wouldn't it be? And we're going to be arguing over what makes everything best. And periodically, we're going to want to kill each other. So remember, rule one is that person that you're currently fighting with over how to make things the best, they're not an asshole. They have this project's best goals in mind, just like you do. Now, the other part of that is, don't kill them. Rule two, no death. This has always been rule two. Now, this comes at things from a couple of different sides. Comes at me and my just want to kill someone. Don't care who, but the code is evil, something needs to die. Don't kill anyone. Yeah. And this is where we're going to pause for a minute. One of them was one of our NSO program officers, who none of you know, that's fine. But the other one was one of our original co-Is on our first grant, was Michael Gibbs. And losing him was one of those really hard days. And I know a lot of people in this room still miss him. And we celebrate that memory with Rule 2. And we also lost, and not as many of you in this room know this, know the person, we also lost PG Holyfield. He's a podcaster, a writer, and he died right before a grant got funded that he was going to be writing the planetarium script for. So we now have Christiana Ellis, one of his co-authors, who's working on that so that we can keep his story alive. So we celebrate, we move forward with life. It's a lot harder to be alive than to die. So no death, be alive. Number 3, do not lick the science. There are geologists in the room. If you Google lick science, hey, this is real, people. Do not lick the science. This is also a euphemism for be good to one another. Sarah Tuttle came up with this graphic a couple of years ago. We are a group that celebrates diversity in every single one of its forms. And everyone is welcome in this community. I don't care what color you've made yourself. I don't care what color the universe made you thanks to genetics. I don't care orientation. You could be hiding under the table covered in blue dye, and I'd ask what you need and then offer you science. I accidentally, it's not. Be another, welcome everyone. Now we start getting into more work-related things. Trello, or you didn't ask for it. So Trello is our project management software. Some of you, the advisors, don't have accounts yet. James, look for the fabulous Tribly. James is going to make sure anyone who isn't already on Trello ends up on Trello. I don't have a Trello card for that because you can't see the Trello card until you're on Trello. Anyways, James will help you get up if you're not already there. And the idea of this is, it's really not fair when we're all such overworked people to say to someone, hey, I need you to do such and such, and not write it down anywhere. And then when the person forgets to go, but I told you, let's just never have that conversation. Write it down, make sure it's written down, and support each other in getting things written down. This is our Trello board currently. I'm working on making it easy for all of you to just visually identify. The projector doesn't allow you to see, but the graphics for each of our different parts of the project are getting dropped in. Because people hack things, rule 6 is there is no rule 6. I'm going to go with it. Rule 7 or rule 8. Rule 7 is also don't. Rule 8 is don't fight a land war in Asia. Now, I'm going to share these slides, and because I share the slides, I have the script from the Eddie Izzard video I'm about to show all of you. Let me just make sure my speaker is up. Okay, so here's where we learn how good my speaker is. This is not working well, is it? Okay. What? I did. Yeah. Okay, I'm just going to read this because really I wrote it down for a reason. So the link is in the PowerPoint, which is up on the shared site, and I will link it in. So the words are, Hitler never played Risk as a child when he was a kid. In Risk, you could never keep Asia. That Asian Eastern European area, you could never hold it. 7 extra men at every go. But you couldn't fucking hold it. We do curse in this collaboration. Australasia was the one. All the purples. Get everyone of Papua New Guinea and just build up and up. And Hitler, he ended up in a ditch covered in petrol on fire. Napoleon had been streaming in years before. I'm going to kill them. Oh, it's a bit cold. Right, okay, bad idea. And then Hitler, I've got a better idea. Oh, it's the same idea. Don't fight a land war in Asia. What this means in this collaboration is there's going to be a lot of times that we're like, this other team did this thing, but it didn't work, but we're going to try the exact same thing, but because it's us, it'll be fine. No. If there's an idea out there that research has shown is a bad idea, do not try and reinvent the bad idea because you think that you don't think you're Hitler. But don't fight a land war in Asia. We're going to do innovative, awesome things. We're going to fail sometimes, but let's find new and creative ways to fail. Rule 9. When you go out into the world, take a friend and stick together and share your docs in the cloud. None of us are alone in this. We are working together to build something, and we can do it collaboratively. Otters sleep holding hands so that they don't drift apart. Take a buddy when you're creating things. One of the questions that I've been asked more than any other question by this group is, where should I do this document that I just did in Word? And the answer is in Google Docs. Do things someplace where we can edit, where we can write, where we can create together. And we are so much better together than we are apart. And part of learning the power of that is Llewellyn's going to be working with all of the people who teach people. So all of our subject matter expert trainers, all of our teacher trainers. If you train other humans as part of this project, you're going to be working with Llewellyn on mobbing things. Come in, Linda. There are seats on this side of the room, which is hard to get to, or next to Corey. Go for it. We are friendly.
And the people watching are friendly.
Yes, we're all friendly. Okay. So, Rule 10. Google site or it didn't happen. One of the things that I've seen happen way too many times is a postdoc moves on to their next job. Everything the postdoc did ends up somewhere in a box, somewhere in a Google Drive, somewhere in a Dropbox. And it's like, I'm not sure where that went. Let's start from day 0. And we've already been doing this. I'm just reiterating something all of you have already been doing. Link things into the Google Doc. Upload them onto the Google site. Make it so that it's a self-documenting program, and while there are going to be moments of, oh crap, where did I put that document? It's only because you created it yesterday and are linking it in today. So does this all so far make sense? I'm seeing Stanley shaking her head. I'm just going to keep looking at Stanley. Now, somewhere, do you have the value cards? They've already been passed out. Glorious. Okay. So this is something that I stole ruthlessly from the Scrum community. There is on our blog, this is documented where these quotes came from. And we're going to have our graphical artist who will be here in the afternoons because he's taking classes in the mornings, make this up pretty. How many of you are tabletop board game players? Okay, so a lot of modern tabletop games have cards that tell you what the phases for each round of gameplay is, and then also have the characteristics for what each piece does. These are our phases of gameplay. Let's laugh while we do this and steal the idea that what we're creating is not task lists, but stories. And our phases are brainstorm, everything in Slack and Zoom. Let's talk to each other, text-based, face-to-face, whatever technology is best for what we're doing in the moment. Let's get that workflow, that story we're creating on how we're going to build the things written up in Trello. And we're going to do a lot of activities in the next 2 days on how we're going to create those stories in Trello. Share everything in the cloud. That's part 3. Get the work done. Do it in a shared environment where you're working together on creating things. And finally, record your work on the Google site. So think of it as phases of play. And then we have our values in the game. The first one is focus. And this is actually part of this meeting. Because we focus on only a few things at a time, we work well together and produce excellent work. We deliver valuable items sooner. There is a new post up on our Project Hacker blog, which I'm going to be sending out after I'm done talking while these fine gentlemen talk. And it talks about focus and ways to help focus. Focus is one of the things that is hardest for all of us in this room. Our phones are going off, our social media is going off, people are invading our office, and it's hard to find ways to focus. But we're going to work hard to give you extra skills, and we're going to ask that for the next 2 days, you focus on being present, being here, and participating fully in these 2 days. I know because I'm as guilty as anyone else. A lot of times at NASA meetings, 10 minutes in, you're like, F this email. We've all been there. That's why I hear very quiet laughter. Be present. If you're not being present, I'm going to take it as a message that we're wasting your time. And my goal, since we only have 2 days a year to all be present, is to waste not one moment, unless it's because I forgot something in my hotel room and have to run downstairs. 2 is courage. Because we work as a team, we feel supported and have more resources at our disposal. This gives us the courage to undertake greater challenges. We've all been there where it's like, I could do this big, huge, shiny thing, and it might go terribly, horribly wrong, or I could do this safe thing. Because there's a group of us to support each other, we're going to try and be courageous and do the thing that is hard and is right and will get us better results. But we're going to get there in small baby steps. It's going to be incremental development with incremental release to make it less scary. Openness. As we work together, we express how we're doing, what's in our way, and our concerns so they can be addressed. This is what we're already doing in these Tuesday meetings that I'm having with all of the co-Is and project leads. What we're doing currently is I spend my day talking one by one, sometimes 2 or 3 at a time, with all of the people in leadership positions within this collaboration. 15 to 20-minute meetings, wham. What are you working on? What's in your way? What can we get you? What do you need from SIUE? And this is part of this openness. Now, one of the homework assignments is already posted up in Trello, and James is going to be putting up a doodle poll and sharing out to the group over the Google group, is we're going to take one of those Tuesdays a month and instead turn it into a 1-hour all-group discussion. so that we can start talking about the bigger things in those once a month Tuesday telecons. What I'm going to aim to never do is the telecon where I talk at you, because really I can write words. I know how to write words. And you all write down the words that I'm saying on the telecon, or if you're me, clean your office. So we're going to work to make everything we do about it. Sarcasm is also a part of this collaboration. Commitment. Because we have a great control over our own destiny, this is our work, this is our project, this is our servers. We aren't on NASA servers. They are trusting us to work outside of their system, funded by their system. We are more committed to our success. It's on us. We either make this work or we don't. And I believe that we can make this work. Respect. As we work together, sharing successes and failures, we come to respect each other and to help each other become worthy of respect. If you're in this room, it's because someone that was part of writing the grant knew you and deeply respected your work, deeply respected your opinions, your discussions, conversations, and knew that you could make this team better. Now, there's a lot of people in this room who still don't know each other. I'm meeting some of you for the first time because you're advisors that were recommended to me by somebody else in the room. We're going to start from the assumption that we're just going to keep building this respect forward, and we're starting from a position of respect. These are our core values. This is who we are as a collaboration. And we're going to keep doing great things. Now, one of the things that I talked about in the blog post on values, that if you haven't read yet, please go read it, is we're not human spaceflight, we're SMD. Failure is an option. We're taking the Mars Curiosity phrase of dare mighty things, which actually came from Eisenhower. We're going to fail sometimes. Scoop people back, help them move, and learn. One of the things that's going to be gone over by Llewellyn later on is you don't learn in the first iteration. This is why we keep doing things, and we get better, and we learn better. Now, this meeting is going to be very weird to a lot of you. It is a meeting where we're going to be working to teach you teaming skills, productivity skills, how to work together, and then have you apply those skills in this unique shared time where we also have our advisors here that we can learn from. Take advantage of the advisors fully. And we're going to be working to build things. Now, I'm learning to be a manager. They don't teach you this in graduate school to be an astronomer. If you want to do photometry on 20th magnitude stars and distant galaxies, I'm your girl. I'm learning to be a manager. And the way that I'm learning is I found these two guys. Chris Miller, I'm going to let them say what they do, because both of them have very confusing jobs, which gives them a very sweet and diverse set of skills that I lean on heavily. And they are here to facilitate the entirety of this meeting. Most of the time, I'm going to be in the background, because most of the time when you're doing work, I'm not in your room with you. So you need to learn how to work together and without me. So I'm going to poke my head up to give direction as a group, and they're going to be facilitating, and I'm going to be one of the co-facilitators. And I'm now going to hand this over, and our first lesson of the day is one that you're going to laugh about, and you know, laughing is part of learning. This is Llewellyn Falco. And by the way, he's the only one in the room allowed to call me Pam, because he's known me since I was 18 and was failing calculus.
I'm grandfathered in.
Yes.
Oh, am I not muted? Thank you. All right. I'm Lou Ellen. It's Lou, Ellen, squashed together. It's very, very Welsh. We are going to do a lot of stuff using sticky notes. And what I noticed is that I sort of have this cognitive bias where they're learned and then learned them, and then I just assume it's common sense, and I was born. This is really simple. A lot of the stuff I'm about to say, some of you in the room has definitely heard. Probably most of you in the room have heard. But some of you in the room have definitely not. So bear with me if I go a little bit. Sticky notes. So, one idea per sticky note. You guys are going to have lots of ideas. I want you to have lots of ideas. Use lots of sticky notes. We have lots of sticky notes. One idea. As few words as possible. This is the Twitter of sticky notes. Try to get it to 2 or 3 words. These are not complete sentences. These are not grammatically correct. These are little bookmarks. Make them easy to read. We have Sharpies, use them. Some people don't even notice that it says "or" in pen. We want to hear what you say. And if you're saying it in sticky notes, that means we need to read what you say. Capital letters instead of lowercase letters. Your capital letters are going to be a lot more consistent, a lot easier to read. So this is just 4 little rules. It's really, really simple. But notice in aggregate, it becomes much more important. If you look at the green side, look at how much nicer that is, how much easier it is, how much gentler it is. Because humans do fight or flight, we skim over it. We zone out, tune out. So that's it. 4 rules for sticky notes. This is a room for PhD people, so I don't have to mention this. But one of the missing rules on here is that one of the sides is sticky. That is not the side you write on. All right. We're going to use sticky notes a lot. We're going to use them to collect ideas. I just want to talk a little bit about why. Right? And before we do that, I need to just introduce a couple cognitive biases that I think are important here. So can you give this just a quick watch? All right, so a quick show of hands. How many people think that that was 12 passes? 13? 14? 15? 16? 17? A lot of you guys didn't actually count the number.
Yeah.
Or I'm not good at counting you. One of the two occurred.
Participate, guys.
Would you worth it to watch it again?
We didn't see the directions.
Ah.
In front of them.
That is a good point. When I do stupid things, please tell me. All right. Are you ready?
But at least if it's
All right, so let's try again. How many people think it was 12? How many think it was 13? How many think it was 14? How many think it was 15? How many think it was 16? How many think it was 17? 18? Not bad. Show of hands. How many people saw the animal? Not bad.
You didn't see this before.
Yeah, that is a good question.
I know to look for the growth.
Anybody notice anything else? Red curtain. There's a guy in a gorilla suit. Black person, a 2 minutes left. We're on an orange curtain now.
Oh, jeez.
So this is a phenomenon known as change blindness. We think we are much more perceptive than we actually are. There's going to be a lot of things happening over the next 2 days. Absolutely, you are going to miss a lot of it. But you're going to see a lot of things that other people in the room don't see. Both of these are going to be important. If you're one of the people who are doing teaching, this brings up a very interesting concept of transferring knowledge from one side of the room to students. If half of what happens isn't even seen, that transfer has to be a little lossy. But we got other issues that we need to talk about. I'm going to try this without the speaker because that speaker didn't work very well. And see if I can do this that way. All right, next.
At any one moment, we are being bombarded.
Take a look at this.
But there is one illusion that reveals this isn't always the case.
Ba, ba, ba.
Have a look at this. What do you hear?
Ba, ba, ba. Ba, ba, ba.
But look what happens when we change the picture.
Ba, ba, ba. Ba, ba, ba. Ba.
And yet, the sound hasn't changed. In every clip, you are only ever hearing ba with a B.
Ba, ba. Ba,
It's an illusion known as the McGurk effect.
ba,
Take another look.
ba.
Concentrate first on the right of the screen.
Ba,
Now to the left of the screen.
ba.
The illusion occurs because what you are seeing clashes with what you are hearing.
In the illusion, what we see overrides what we hear. So the mouth movements we see as we look at a face can actually influence what we believe we're hearing.
So this is called the McGurk effect. This is the most profound instance of this bias that I've seen. But basically, we think of our eyes as cameras. We think of our ears as microphones. But what we perceive as sight and sound is much closer to Photoshop. You take those inputs, and before your conscious brain gets a chance, I've seen this video 200-300 times. I still hear fa. My conscious brain does no voting whatsoever in this process. Your experiences, your habits, they form pathways in your brain. You are going to see and hear things that did not happen. So you're going to miss things that do happen, and you're going to see things that didn't happen. Again, makes for a very interesting teaching process. That's okay. That's another reason we use the sticky notes. By bringing those things up, we can correct them. Right? When I go home, I know, for holidays, my mom says clean the kitchen, I hear something very different. All of us have our own experiences. All of us have unique experience that a lot of us have not yet shared. We are going to interpret things differently. Right? That is going to happen. It is going to be okay. All of this comes together to create sort of a weird effect. So this effect occurs because something called forced perspective. When you only have one camera, you can do really neat things to reality. And we don't have one camera in this room. We have some 30 cameras. If we share our observations, if we share what we see, what we feel, what we're keen on, we will not distort reality. We have a much better chance of actually dealing with things and capturing experiences. So we're going to use Post-it notes a lot to capture things. We're going to capture what we saw. We're going to capture our ideas. We're going to capture feelings. I know a lot of times people don't like to talk about the feelings part, but keep in mind that if you feel fear or surprise or joy, that is a way of your brain saying, pay attention. Right? Now, your brain can be a fickle thing. Sometimes it gets distracted by things that aren't that important, but pay attention to when it says pay attention. At least let that get evaluated. Now, I had a professor as a father, my mother was an academic. One really profound thing that I learned from them is how to meander in my thoughts. And I'm sure you will have a lot of thoughts over this time, too, where we need to sort of have a place. We don't want to lose those thoughts. They're important thoughts, but we might not have the time at the exact moment to deal with it. So we put 3 spaces over here, or 4 spaces over here, so I'm not responsible. First is future ideas. If they're like, hey, something someone just said gave me a good idea, write that down, put it there. I promise you, everything that comes on this board, we will address before we close. Put it up there. Let it be captured. We will get it. Concerns. Remember I said surprise, fear, emotions. You have things that are like, oh, I really need this to be talked about. Opposite. Right? Here. Appreciation. If there's a moment that you're really happy about or a person, you're really happy about, capture that too. Really, sometimes we have a tendency to only look at the negative side, and you get so much comes from realizing the good and And then finally, parking lot. The parking lot is a term we use a lot, and communities that I've been from, where these are ideas that we need to talk about, soon. Possibly like the next thing that we need to talk about. Not at this exact moment. So ideas, we're like, please talk about this like as soon as we get a moment. As soon as the moment. The parking lot, these are things that we will address mid-conference. A lot of these other things we will address next week. Does that make sense? And Post-it notes here, so you will always have them with you.
We have enough pads of sticky notes that everyone can have a pad of sticky notes. If you finish the entire pad, yay, you have lots of ideas. We have more pads of sticky notes. We have enough Sharpies for each of you to lose 2. And we will be cleaning up behind you. So we will be back in this room for the Trillo session. If you take your name badge, your name is on one side. If you flip it up and look at it, the rough schedule is on the other side. We'll be switching the rooms around a little bit. The next activity is not actually going to be in this room because we're going to remove a row of tables.
So we're going downstairs for.
Yeah. So I'm going to have Chris talk, but before we do that, I'm going to say goodbye to the people on the internet. If you are one of our advisors who's watching this right now, we're going to be working to Skype you in. Brian Cruz is attached to Teresa, who hopefully can Skype him in. Susan Button is attached to Pat Durrell, and I haven't heard from Dan Durda, but if you're out there, Dan Durda, email me. Everything here you can share on social media. Please tag in CosmoQuest X if you're on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook, just so that we can see what you're sharing. We're also using the hashtag F2F 2016. Linda. It's about to happen when we go to the next thing. Okay. That will come out of the tennis ball exercise. We have enough squirrels for each of the physical locations to take a squirrel home. If you have multiple people at one physical location, we do not have enough squirrels for each person to have a squirrel. The tradition of the squirrel is, I got really super sick at a conference, and we had these squirrels because I was inspired by Camilla the chicken, and I made these little tiny notes and made the squirrels have them, and it turns out people were way more interested in reading what the squirrels had to say than they were ever interested in talking to me. So me getting pneumonia at a conference was the best thing that ever happened to our booth. So squirrels are a way to communicate. Be silly, capture the squirrels, share, play well with one another. I hand it over to Chris. We're now going to say goodbye to the internet.
Bye.
Morning, everybody.